All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. So the Kamaru, Usman, and Burns fight, that's all we're going to talk about here because my goodness. I mean, listen, like, I've talked about this a million times. That is why I love this sport. I love this sport more than anything. And yeah, I did a video and I said that I thought Gilbert Burns was going to win. Then I did another video where I said, maybe I had it wrong now that I've watched Kamaru training and all that stuff. So I don't care. I mean, I told everybody last night, I was like, yeah, I bet on Gilbert Burns, but I consider it a 50-50 toss-up fight. It's just if they want to give me 2.5 to 1 on one of the fighters and it's a 50-50 fight, then I'll take the bet. And that video that I did where I said that Gilbert was going to win has like 68,000 views, of course. And Kamaru Usman was saying that he watches videos and it pisses him off when people say so. Kamaru Usman's probably seen that video. He's like, this clickbait motherfucker said that Gilbert's dominating me, and then he talked for 30 minutes about how Gilbert's gonna beat me. Man, there's actually something half funny about the idea that Kamaru Usman watched my video and it pissed him off. But anyway, it's neither here nor there, because if he watches this one, he'll have a very different opinion, because that was literally like, that's everything about why I love this sport, man. Everything about why I love this sport represented last night, where when you really think about these fights, and again, this is going to be broken record for people who watch my videos a lot, but when you really think about what's on the line in there, in any fight, it's everything is on the line, right? But in a title fight, really everything is on the line, for real. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to be a champion in this sport, you have to set your mind that you're going to be a champion, and it has to become your everything. I mean, it just does. Like no one just kind of like wakes up and they're like, oh, I'm in a title fight and maybe I'll get a lucky punch and and win the title. Like, to be able to put yourself in that position, the effort that it takes every single day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, for your entire life with one goal. And then all of a sudden you're there and you're in the octagon, they're closing the gate and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, your entire life has led up to this moment. So go ahead, let's see what you got. And there's no one in there that can help you. There's no one that can help you at all. It's just you in there by yourself against another guy who's done the exact same thing, trained his whole life for this moment. And the stakes of that's why, like, when there's another story around the fight itself, like these guys, I mean, these very clearly now, those guys are very close. Like those guys are very close. And to have that, and you're trying to decipher, like, okay, where are these guys at? Like how are these guys handling this? Okay, because here's the deal. I mean, if you really watch my channel, we can use this in like the last week or two as a perfect example of why my channel is different than other people. Kamaru Usman is like, he wins. He goes, look, I'm different. Okay, well, guess what? Jesse on Fire is different also. Okay, so if you're trying to figure out why you would consume my content, it's like, if you want to figure out who's going to win the fight, there are much better channels than mine, clearly. But if you want to know what is under the hood making people tick, like what like the analysis of the human element of this, and like how people interact with, how they deal with things mentally, and then what's going on in the background, I'm fucking bulletproof on that stuff. And like, just in the last couple of days, I said that when I'm sorry, I'm gonna tangent here. When Khamzat Chimaev fell out of the Leon Edwards fight, I was like, honestly, I think the Colby and Masvidal thing is probably not real. They probably don't want to fight each other. So you put Masvidal in there, and then you have Colby fight Usman, and they're like, and then the next day they're like, yeah, we're gonna put Colby in there. We're gonna have Masvidal fight Usman. I was like, oh wow, weird. It seems like I may have nailed that one. And like with this fight, it's like, I watched the behind the scenes, the embedded or whatever, and I saw Kamaru's ability to compartmentalize his feelings for Gilbert. And it's so fucking impressive, man. And I think about this as it relates to people that I root for, like guys that I feel really connected to their career. And I realized something this last night and this week about myself and how I as a fan, because there are always these guys that I think they're awesome, exceptional fighters, good men. And I never really get super connected to their careers for some reason. And Kamaru Usman's one of those guys, where I have nothing but respect for this guy. I think he's an absolute stud. But I wasn't, I wasn't like, and what it is because I don't see a lot of my own traits in them. Like Kamaru Usman is a cold, calculated, like, dialed in murder machine. I am a ball of fucking fire. Okay. Like I'm way more like Gilbert Burns. I'm way more like Connor. I'm way more like guys like that than I am these cold, calculating, surgical. I'm going to go in. I'm going to get better at this. I'm going to go in. No one's going to break me. I'm a fireball, and Kamaru Usman is an ice cold piece of fucking steel like Khabib. And GSP's got some fire in him actually. But that's the part of the game that's fascinating to me is like, and the way that Usman handled like the post fight, it was like, he's ice cold. I mean, I love this. This is one of my favorite fights ever, actually. Like, honestly, like now I'm getting to the part I wanted to talk about. Okay. First of all, before I talk about that, one thing that I've majorly overlooked when I was breaking this fight down in the, in my mind, and I saw after Usman won, Gaethje tweeted, "You guys should see our sparring sessions." And I was like, how did I not think about that? How did I not think about that? Like Kamaru Usman has Gilbert Burns in his gym to spar against all day long. Gaethje and Burns look very similar in how they fight. I mean, like very similar. Very similar. So he was literally training against a Gilbert Burns all day, every day, all day, every day, all day, every day. I don't know if I necessarily would have just like automatically picked Usman, but that is a huge factor that I had completely forgot about, which is bizarre because I usually remember things like that. But yeah, but now that aside, the fight itself and Burns and all that, if I just now, like after, like when I thought about it after the fight and then I kind of marinated on it and I was thinking about it this morning and I'm like, damn, like that was seriously, like as it relates to the humanity, that was one of my favorite fights of all time, if not my favorite. Like these guys come out, these guys have history. Now you have to really understand, like you saw the aftermath, you saw them talking about each other's kids, whatever. Like these guys are friends. These guys are foxhole friends, like guys that have gone to fucking war together and they really care about each other, like very, very much. And the way that they were able to, the way they handle, like Gilbert is just like, yeah, I like Kamaru, but like my entire life is built around being the champion. And like, he has the belt, I have to go get it. And Kamaru has like, he had to cut himself off from his emotions completely. And you saw why after the fight. Okay. That's what I'm talking about with this channel. Like you saw why he has to do that after the fight, because after he beat Gilbert, he celebrated and then he sat down, he got on his knees and waited for Gilbert to recover. And it hit him that he had taken that from Gilbert and it crushed him. Like it crushed him. That was very real. He was not faking that, like you could just see it in his face that it hit him all at once, that he had taken that, he'd taken Gilbert's dream from him. And it was hard on him. And so go back to the beginning of the fight. They go out, Gilbert, puts his hand out, Usman doesn't pound it. They go in there and they fucking bang in the first round. And Gilbert almost won that fight. Like Gilbert was, if someone would have told me going into the second round, oh, hey, by the way, Usman's going to dominate this round on his feet, I would have been like, what fight were you watching? But at the end of the first round, after they smashed, then Kamaru puts his hand up and they fist bumped. I was like, I fucking love this sport, man. I love it. I fucking love it. I love it more than anything. No fist bump before the fight. And then they go in and they smash each other in the face and they remember, they're like, oh man, you're a fucking gamer. Boom. Now, and then, oh God, dude, I love it. But, yeah, I mean, I heard Weasel say it. I've heard a bunch of people say it. Anybody else is getting KO'd in the first round right there. I mean, just straight up. Like, the shots that Kamaru got hit with, the head kick that he got hit. I don't understand how that head kick didn't, like, looked like, the punch, like, wobbled Usman. That kick, it looked like he didn't even notice that he got kicked. It's bizarre. But man, that jab, dude. I was saying last night, and listen, let me actually, his jab's amazing, obviously. But let me say this. Kamaru Usman might actually be the best welterweight of all time. First of all, like I think this Kamaru Usman, no one's going to beat this guy. I mean, and I said that before. I was like, look, if Kamaru Usman beats Gilbert Burns, no one's going to beat him. And now I was talking about the Kamaru Usman I had seen, and I'm like, okay, if he gets through Gilbert, there's no one else who can really give him a tough time. Now he's much better than he was. Like this guy, who's going to beat him? I mean, seriously, like who's going to beat him? Like He's like, yeah, I'll take Masvidal. He's like, I'll take another, whatever, $8-9 million payday that I got last time or whatever, But no one's going to beat him. I mean, straight up, no one's going to beat him. Like, you're not going to break this guy mentally. He's not going to turn into Tyron Woodley. He gets a few, title, defenses under his belt, gets rich, and then he just stops training. Like, that's not going to happen with him. Wonder Boy is the only kind of person that's kind of interesting because it's such a weird stylistic matchup, but I think Kamaru will win. But think about it like this. Like, he knows Gilbert, right? He knows Gilbert is a monster on his feet. And listen, here's the thing. I think he knew that Gilbert had a very high likelihood of beating him if he didn't switch something up, right? Because think about what happened there, right? Did it look like Kamaru Usman wanted to clinch with Gilbert Burns? Did it look like he wanted to go to the ground with Gilbert Burns? Okay, very obviously not. He didn't want to clinch with him. He didn't want to go to the ground with him. No. Like, you know what I mean? And the bottom line is this, like, Usman is a tactician. He's very smart. He knew that was going to be the case, so he knew he was going to have to fight him on his feet, and I bet you that he knew that was a toss-up. As a matter of fact, Kamaru Usman from 3 fights ago, I could say this very confidently, he's not going to beat him. You just look at the first round. Like, how did he win? He won with a surgical precision, perfect fucking jab. And perfect, like, just straight punches, dude. Whap, 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 straight punches. Nothing, like, you don't see it coming. And he developed that with Trevor Whitman. He didn't have those before. He would have lost. Like, that's the thing. Like, think about this. If he didn't do what he did, he would have lost. He would have lost. If he didn't switch camps and go to the best striking coach in MMA, he would have lost. He would have lost. And he won. And he won because he knew that, and he went and developed the skills that he was going to need to beat Gilbert Burns. That is the kind of thing that a person who is, maybe he's not in the GOAT conversation yet. I'm talking about welterweight, by the way, when I say GOAT, like welterweight GOAT. But who knows, dude, by the end of his career, you can't, look, like, there's no way to even have the conversation yet, because there's so many ways to kind of, like, have that conversation. If it's in terms of dominance, like in terms of my likelihood of picking someone to beat him in his own weight class, he is on the same level as Khabib now. I won't pick anyone to beat him. Like, I won't. No matter who Khabib fights, I'll pick him. No matter who Kamaru Usman fights, I'll pick him. Just period. They're like, I'm sold. Like, I'm fucking sold. I am fucking sold on Kamaru Usman. 100%. I'll never pick against him again. And, man, he's impressive, dude. But that moment, I want to go back to that, dude. The moment after the fight, when he realized that he had taken that shit from, taken Burns' dream from him, and then they went and hugged, and he talked to him in his ear. There's just no other sport like it, man. There's no other sport like it. There can only be one. Like, that's the thing. Out of all the people on earth, there can only be one champion. One. Okay? And so if you have a buddy that shares the same dream as you, and you've bled in the training room, like bled there, hurt each other, learn together after, like, I don't know, like, people who don't train, it's not just like, hey, you're in class and, and you're training together, whatever. Like, if you're guys who are really, like, passionate about what you're doing, class ends, you sit there, you talk, like, class is over, and then you guys are like, okay, so when you were sparring, you're like, dude, what was that thing that you did? So you were here and you're like, so show me exactly how you do that. Show me exactly how you do that. And then you're like, and then you go home and you're thinking about it and you're thinking about it and you're thinking about it. The reason I got good at striking so quickly was because I cared about it so much. I fucking loved it. And that kind of thing. And, like, the guys, like, you feel such a gigantic debt of gratitude to people, like, that you train with, if they're cool. Obviously, there can be guys that you train with that are just fucking pricks that beat you up, and, you don't really have a relationship there. But guys that you connect with that, like, and you it's a really, like, that is a bond that fucking matters. And there can only be one. If it's, my shit, fucking, I am definitely not in this conversation, but those guys, they're both fighting for the same dream. And Kamaru just had to take that dream from him, and it crushed him. And then, like, when they hugged there, that was seriously one of my favorite moments in the history of this fucking sport. I'm serious about that. I don't know, man. This is what other sport is there? Like, seriously, what other sport is there where there's just, like, there's one champion and everybody gets to line up to try to take it from the champion. It's just the best, dude. It is the absolute best. So anyway, if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. Tell your friends. Love this fucking sport. Congratulations, Kamaru, Usman, and Burns will be back. Peace.